All eyes now on the crucial bilateral meeting between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and the Indian origin US Vice President Kamala Harris. This will be the first in-person meeting of the Prime Minister and the US Vice President. This meeting is being seen as a coming-of-age moment. Take a look.
Adoring Indian crowds welcoming the Indian Prime Minister. NRIs and American Desis have always flaunted their affection for Modi. But there's one American of Indian origin with whom Modi hasn't always shared a very warm connect. We're talking about US Vice President Kamala Harris. Just past midnight tonight, India time, Prime Minister Modi will meet the first ever person of Indian origin to be elected Vice President of the United States. The two leaders last spoke on the phone during the peak of the COVID crisis, when Prime Minister Modi thanked her for the support and solidarity from the US government and Indian diaspora. But tonight's meeting in Washington, D.C. brings them face to face for the first time. When Kamala Harris invoked her aunts back in Tamil Nadu during her election campaign,
family is my uncles, my aunts, and my chittis.
Prime Minister Modi was quick to latch on and say that her victory was a matter of immense pride, not just for her chittis, but also for all Indian Americans.
The Indian diaspora are quite excited with regards to how the relations have moved forward between India and the United States of America, and that certainly is going to be a topic of discussion between the two countries. But there are areas of concern that could really come up between the two sides. Kamala Harris is known to speak about and be quite vocal of human rights issues, but when it comes to India, she has been rather cautious.
With strong left-leaning views, Kamala Harris has been frequently vocal about right-wing politics, including the brand of politics espoused by India's ruling BJP. Vice President Harris has also articulated strong views about Kashmir that don't quite align with the Indian government's. Her views on democracy and pluralism have frequently been thinly disguised attacks on the perceived communal atmosphere in India. Kamala Harris was also conspicuous by her absence at the mega Howdy Modi event in Houston in September 2019. A decision that was seen as her frowning upon the Modi-Trump bonhomie and their individual political styles.
Family is our...
But as the two nations must now work together in a dangerous new world, it remains to be seen how the Indian Prime Minister and the first US Vice President of Indian origin craft their connect. Millions of Indian Americans will be waiting and watching closely. Bureau Report, India Today.
I quickly want to once again cut across to Washington, D.C. and India Today's Foreign Affairs editor Geeta Mohan joins me for more. Geeta, Kamala Harris, her views, and Kamala Harris, the Vice President of the United States of America. Will the conversation be about science, technology, India-US cooperation, or are there potential landmines in this meeting?
The focus, of course, on Indo-Pacific, on the AUKUS pact, security pact that has been avoided.
Well, Gaurav, I will answer that question of yours, but let me first give you a feel of the surrounding over here. That's the cavalcade of Australian Prime Minister who is inside at Hotel Willard, meeting Prime Minister Narendra Modi. The people you see outside over here is the official delegation from the Indian side, the media contingent that is now going to go to Eisenhower Building, which is where the meeting with Kamala Harris is going to take place. They are the advance team, so they'll now be headed to Eisenhower Building to set up the cameras, set up all the works to ensure that when the leaders meet, they're in place to take the videos and the photographs. So that's the contingent that's now going to Eisenhower Building. Prime Minister Scott Morrison's cavalcade still here. He's still inside. The conversation still underway. But yes, going back to the substance of the meetings and the conversations that are taking place, after the meeting over here, he's headed to Eisenhower building that is adjacent to the White House within the complex. And yes, there are concerns and challenges when it comes to Indo-US ties, but Gaurav, that has always been the case. The ties have always suffered ups and downs. They've always faced ups and downs, whether it is the social issues with regards to what happens within India, and certain senators and congressmen in the past have always questioned those actions, but also more importantly, the other aspects, trade, visa issue. There are many related issues that India has when it comes to concerns, and those concerns are also going to be raised. With Vice President Kamala Harris, there is going to be a very important conversation with regards to the Indo-Pacific China Quad that is going to take place, Afghanistan, the situation there. Why? Because she herself just went around the Indo-Pacific region and returned. So that's an important aspect of the conversations that are going to take place between Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Vice President Kamala Harris. But we'll again have to wait and see whether if she actually is vocal about the concerns that we're talking about. She was quite vocal as a senator. She was quite vocal as a politician from the opposition. Whether if sitting in power, interacting with a key ally, India, will she now not be cautious and continue to rake up the same issues is something we'll have to wait and see. Yes, the officials during the background briefings have said that there is going to be, on the American side, Gaurav, have said that there would be conversation about democratic values. Okay. But you see the tone and tenor has changed, where they say that India and US both respect democratic values. So again, we'll have to wait and see whether there are going to be a lot of sparks that will fly, or whether there'll be some sort of camaraderie. And like her own hometown in a newspaper editorial said, coming of age moment for India and the United States of America.
And Geeta Mohan will be reporting on that coming of age moment. Geeta, for the moment, many thanks. So as Quad Alliance leaders meet in Washington, D.C., on the streets, Baloch freedom fighters and rights activists staged a protest demanding and seeking freedom from Pakistan, a state sponsor of terror. This has once again put the spotlight on Pakistan and Pakistan army atrocities in Balochistan. India Today's Geeta Mohan is on ground zero. She spoke to not just Baloch activists, but also those who live in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir and are suffering at the hands of Pakistan and now China in POK.
While on the one hand, there were people from the Indian community outside Hotel Willard welcoming Prime Minister Narendra Modi. On the other side, there are many from the Baloch community in Pakistan who are seeking freedom of Balochistan. They're talking about human rights violations in Balochistan and want the world and international community to support the freedom of Balochistan. You're here outside the hotel, Indian Prime Minister's hotel. Why are you here? What is your demand? Are you looking at Quad leaders to help the people of Balochistan?
Of course. We are here. We gather here, as you can see, and we have banners or placards, and we have a request and we have a simple demand that the Quad leadership must support freedom of Balochistan, because if the Quad leadership want a peace and that region, if they want a stability at the region, the only solution is to support freedom of Balochistan. Because
you think you people coming here will make a difference to how Pakistan thinks and behaves in Balochistan?
Basically, I am from the POK. I am here to solidarity with the Baloch people for their freedom.
Okay.
And we are also under the occupation of Pakistan. That's we are also struggling for our freedom. Now China is growing up as the world leader, but we are here to demand about, to raise our voice to the world leader for the people of our region. They are suffering from the slavery and under a lot of things. So we are demanding to the world leader stop the Pakistan to genocide the people, stop Pakistan to growing up the terrorism, sectarian needs. That's why we are here. And particularly I am here with the Baloch people because they are struggling for their motherland, their freedom. Today I am supporting them.
Right. Only a few people have turned up, but you know that every time there is any major event, Baloch people across the world turn up to fight for their rights. They're mostly Baloch who are living in exile, and now we have people from Pakistan-occupied Kashmir also joining hands with them, joining voice with them, extending support for the freedom of Balochistan as also to stop atrocities in Pakistan-occupied Kashmir. In Washington, D.C., Geeta Mohan for India Today.
Prime Minister Narendra Modi's 7th visit to the United States of America kicked off on Thursday. He will be meeting US President Joe Biden on Friday. This is the third US President that Prime Minister Narendra Modi will be meeting as Prime Minister of India. The Prime Minister believes in adding a personal touch during his interactions with leaders of the world's oldest democracy. Will the Biden administration, which has kept human rights and free speech at the forefront of its agenda, give and return a similar warm welcome to Prime Minister Narendra Modi?
If there's one place Prime Minister Narendra Modi feels at home outside India, it would be the United States. In the 7 years he's been the Prime Minister, this is his 7th visit to the country. And over this period, he has interacted with 3 presidents, Joe Biden, the latest. Indo-US relations under Modi are also about the personal touch he brings to the negotiating table. President Barack Obama, for instance, is friend Barack. A friend to whom he personally served tea. In Donald Trump, Prime Minister Modi found another friend and ally. India carried out surgical strikes in POK after the Uri terror attack and later launched airstrikes on Jaish-e-Mohammed terror camps deep inside Pakistan in Balakot. The US under Trump stood with New Delhi. There were missteps as well, the biggest letdown being edged out of the peace talks in Afghanistan. The camaraderie, however, was too good to believe. It led Prime Minister Modi to Houston, where he, many felt, openly endorsed Trump for a second term.
The words of candidate Trump, "Ab ki baar, Trump Sarkar."
They even took out a victory lap in front of a thrilled diaspora. On many issues, the Biden administration may take a different line from Trump's. If Trump was silent when India abrogated Article 370 in Jammu and Kashmir, Biden and his Democrat colleagues during the presidential campaign had criticized the decision, much to our discomfort. But much has happened since then. The global economy is shaky after the worst humanitarian crisis since the World War. The Taliban is back in Afghanistan, posing an even bigger terror threat to the world. Pakistan continues its old game of blackmail diplomacy. The Chinese are spreading their influence aggressively. The world is no more unipolar. There are fears of another Cold War.
We're not seeking, say it again, we are not seeking a new Cold War or a world divided into rigid blocks. The United States is ready to work with any nation that steps up and pursues peaceful resolution to shared challenges, even if we have intense disagreements in other areas.
Day 2 is going to be about the big Quad in-person summit meeting between and among the Quad leaders and the bilateral between President Biden and Prime Minister Narendra Modi, where the focus is going to be Afghanistan, counter China, resilient supply chains, as also post-COVID recovery and economic cooperation. With video journalist Yukendra Singh in Washington, D.C., Geeta Mohan for India Today.